Former Win for over 4 months now.
Part of the Former Win community for a couple months now.
I just got my first internship.
I just landed my first internship.
The biggest thing I want you guys to do is take one thing away from today and make sure you implement it, change your life.
100% directly resulted in me getting an internship offer.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. It's good to see you all. It's good to have you guys. I see everybody here. I know we have a few people watching. There's going to be a lot of people coming in a little bit late. So I want to make sure you guys are ready for action, ready to take some notes, and ready to change your life. Just like we just said in that last little clip, if you guys caught that, really. The goal of today is to excel in your engineering internship. Guys, it is super easy to do so. It is super easy to stand out. It's just, we have to really take a step back. I have a lot prepared for you guys, so bear with me. Get ready to drop some comments in, any questions you guys have. Make sure you take notes, have a pen, piece of paper, and get ready to rock and roll. We have a lot to go through. We have an awesome guest speaker coming a bit later. So we're going to break this whole thing down and show you guys exactly how to excel in your internship. And for those of you that are, still looking for an internship, this is still for you as well, right? Take some notes, take some actions, and maybe reverse engineer a little bit. If you're looking for that internship, look at some of the things that we're going to talk about that makes a great intern, and then reverse engineer that in order to stand out in your next interview. Okay, so make sure you take something from today. Make sure you implement it. Don't let this just be entertainment. I'm going to say this in every video, every, webinar, every time that we speak at, schools or wherever we go. Make sure that you take something away from today and implement it. Otherwise, it's just fun. And that's cool. It's definitely better to be doing this than going out and partying or something. But at the same time, you have your opportunity here to take something away from today and change your life, especially in your internship, to go apply, get better, get stronger. And, let's just get started as far as what this looks like. Okay. I want us to reverse engineer for a second, take a step back. Okay. I want us to figure out what our purpose is. Okay. That's going to be one of the biggest things, because I can't tell you how to excel in your internship unless we know exactly what this looks like and why we're doing it. Right. So I want to make sure that we're ultra clear on that. So, we're going to be talking about that briefly, right? I want you guys maybe to drop in the comments or just think to yourself, whatever works best for you guys as far as what that looks like for you in your life and why you want to be an engineer, why you want to have this internship, what you're doing. So I want to make sure that you guys kind of take a step back, think about that, and really process it, right? Some deeper questions are going to be, why are you doing this? Okay, maybe you're doing it because that you were good in high school, or engineering seemed cool, or whatever your story is, right? Be clear on that, then dig deeper. Why do you want to do that? Why do you feel fulfilled doing that? What is the root cause with this? What kind of life do you want to live? What are you doing this all for? Is this your end goal? Are you looking to do something else? Or is this your major passion, the major reason that you're doing everything, the major reason you're here? Is that what's going on? Or what's the case, right? You have to be ultra clear with that. And you guys really need to hone in on that. Now that we have that, let's get into what this looks like. Okay. So first off, again, welcome, guys. This is going to be a really action-packed, really cool, little slideshow that we got here, especially kind of training you guys exactly how to excel, what to do during the internship, how to go outside of it. And we have an awesome secret at the end. Okay. So, we're going to get started as far as what this looks like. So, drop in the comments if you have an internship. Definitely curious for those that do have an internship, where you're at, what you're currently doing, because that can help me gauge a little bit of the things that I say customized for you. So please do that. I definitely see everything in the chat here. Hello to you as well. So let's go on ahead, look at the, agenda that we're going to have in a second. But landing the internship is not the win. A lot of people, a lot of students, I see this often, more often than not, especially as students, our major goal is getting that internship. So if our major goal is getting that internship, I can understand how it can feel, where that's like the top of the mountain. That's the biggest thing that we're looking to accomplish. That's really the hardest thing. And I can understand that. I get it, but that's really only step 1 out of 10,000. I always like to view it as that. Once we're in there, that's when the real work begins, right? It took a lot of work to get to the internship. I get it, but there's still a lot more that you need to work on, still a lot more that you need to accomplish, still a lot more that you need to go out and really do. So it really happens after you get the internship. What you do after decides everything, really. Just live by that, because once you guys are in there, then you're going to really write your check, get paid what you're worth, and also write your history. That's an important thing here, guys. So listen, just make sure you pay attention to that. This is the agenda. What we're going to do is we're going to show you how interns actually get noticed, okay? What managers look for early, the 30-day execution framework you should apply in your internship in the first 30 days, all right? And then how return offers are decided. And then I have a live action for you guys. I want you guys to take some action today. This is not just a webinar. This is not just a lesson. We're going to go over lots of awesome things, trust me, but I still want you guys to take action today, and don't just wait for tomorrow with your notes that you have. Do it today, okay? So, and then we have an awesome surprise at the end, a really awesome secret me and my team have been working on for the past few months, especially leading up into this next chapter for me and Former Win and everything we're working on. It's going to be really awesome, groundbreaking. So just stay tuned until the end. It's going to be super cool. So, some of you might be, this is your first time hearing about me and Formula Win and what we do. So I want to make sure that I give you guys a proper introduction of what that looks like and exactly what we do. Okay. So I'm Michael DeLeo, right? And I'm a system engineer at Lockheed Martin. I've had several other internships. We're not here to talk about me. Feel free to look at my LinkedIn for some previous history, previous research, whatever the case is. And I've worked in a little bit of hiring and recruiting. I've done some interviews myself. It's been awesome. It's been really rewarding. So I know exactly what we're looking for. I know how to stand out. And I started Formula One because there's lots of industry mentors. There's lots of people in the industry, and they're all great. And I love them. Trust me, they're great. And it's good to have your mentors. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have mentors. But I always felt like that was incomplete as far as, compressing timeframes to get to your goals. I always wanted to be around people that are more serious, taking it to the next level, and not thinking small-minded. So with that, I always want a service like we offer at Formula One, which is coaching, to help you get to the next level and compress these timeframes. So I started this just based off my personal experiences. I ran the mentoring program at Lockheed Martin. It was awesome, but I wanted to do it my own way. And I'm sure that you guys have heard of having a nice one-page resume, right? Maybe black and white, just one page. That's super cool. And that's not how I got my first internship. My first internship was gone from a resume with my picture on it, my favorite quote, 5 pages. The second I heard that one page thing, I was like, no, I don't want to do that, right? And that's one example. There's lots of examples why we started Formula One, but that's one thing that I didn't want to tell someone to do that when that's not what's worked for me and not what I would recommend other people to do. So why would I just say to do that, right? So, there's lots of things, especially in any industry and all these things that we work on, we're doing things completely differently. Stay tuned for, everything we're talking about here, different videos we post, our community and everything, because there's lots of things that we talk about that is completely radical and different. And there's a different perspective and there's a different way to approach this when you think about this as getting the job is step one in your life, right? Versus like, hey, that's the goal. And now we're chilling for the rest of our life. There's a different way to view this, and there's a different way that we approach getting these goals. And my thing for everybody watching, I want you to excel, get paid what you're worth, and compress time frames so that you can truly chase what you want in life. That's my mission. If I can help you guys reduce the time frame by a month, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever the case is, that's considered a win for me today. So I want to make sure you guys get something out of it. Please make sure that you do. Please make sure you take something and apply it. That's the biggest thing, again, and that's all that I can ask for you guys, okay? These are some companies now kind of transitioning that some of our students have gotten hired at, some of our students have worked at. And again, it's been really an awesome blessing. We're going to talk about some students that we've had really quick as well as far as success stories and what they look like. Trey, I'm super proud of Trey. He's one of our clients. He's awesome. And I'm not going to go super, super crazy in depth. You guys can read the screen. I'm not going to read it, but he was looking for an internship. Okay. He didn't have an internship before. We managed to get him an internship super, super quick. And it's really awesome because then we went into that internship, really stood out in the internship. And then about a year before graduating, he got a full-time offer. A lot of people can't even comprehend that, right? Because it's always like fighting until the end to get that full-time offer. Or maybe you're at a career fair and everybody's saying, no, you need to just wait till your junior or senior year before you even look for an internship. But he got a full-time offer like a year before he graduated, right? So again, it's just a completely different frame. So now he has that. And now he can go out and chase some different things and some other different goals and not just be limited to maybe what's available or what's forced upon him, right? So that's super, super important, guys, to have that opportunity, that leverage. And that's what I love creating for people. And that's what all of our videos about, all of our content, all of the things we do, take it, apply it. You can have some of the same success as this is, right? Our next client, Dave, he's one of our newer clients as well. He's been doing absolutely fantastic. I can't even fathom it. Guys, the biggest thing I like to say is being a master student. What a master student does is listens to someone who has great advice for them, who has been where they want to get to, and takes everything that they say and 10x's it. Dave is one of those people that does just that. Everything I tell him to do, everything we work on one-on-one, where we hop on calls each day, each week, all of this stuff, he takes it, 10x's it, and goes out and just goes crazy and getting everything done. This is literally, and I can't kid you not, we're going to be coming out with his testimonial video a little bit later. He's literally gotten about, I believe, 10 to 15 interviews in the past month. Okay. So a lot of guys are struggling, or a lot of you all are struggling to get one internship. You guys need to think about it differently. Okay. Or sorry, one interview, right? You need to think about it a little bit differently, but that's all we're going to touch on clients. Now we have something really cool. A lot of people had signed up a little bit early to get part of this giveaway. So what we're going to actually do, I'm going to have a little bit of fun here with you guys. So we're going to actually call ChatGPT. Okay. So I entered all the names into ChatGPT. Okay. So we have all the names, and what we're going to do is we're going to call it and we're going to say, hey, I want you to pick a winner. So let's just see how this goes. I didn't try this beforehand. So ChatGPT, are you there?
Loud and clear. I'm here and ready whenever you are. Hit me with whatever you need.
I want you to pick one giveaway winner from the list that I gave you.
All right, I'm spinning the mental wheel here, and the name popping out is Mark Fairson. Congrats to Mark. Let me know if you need a reroll, but I'm feeling lucky with that one.
All right, Mark. Mark won it. So that means if Mark is in the chat, I'd love for you to put it in the chat. If not, we'll get with you later. But our community, we're going to break it down later. You're going to get a free 1-year access to our community. In there, we do lots of stuff. We're going to cover it a little bit later. But Mark, if you're in the chat, definitely put something in there. If not, I'm going to have my team reach out to you. You know, we have your information from you filling it out. So we'll call you. We'll get you set up. Congratulations, Mark. Super awesome, and get ready to change your life, man. So this also gives you access to the VIP at the end of this, where you can go ask Davis some questions and come into our community and ask me some questions one-on-one. So feel free to hop in there. We'll get with you, and I'll have my team reach out to you soon, okay? So we'll talk soon, brother. All right, guys. Now, for everybody else, definitely stay tuned. We have another giveaway at the end, so definitely stay tuned for that. But let's get into the meat of this, all right? The problem. Most interns do exactly what they're told and still don't get return offers. There's a lot more to this. And guys, you know, I could have made a slide deck that was 100 slides, 300 slides, 400 slides. And, you know, the biggest thing, guys, is for you to just take where you're at, listen to everything I say, and map out your journey and where you're at, and just start pinpointing the areas you need to improve on or that you're struggling with. Okay, so just think about that, process it, write down some areas you're working on, some areas you're struggling with, or if you have an internship, think about what areas you need to improve on or what areas you might not even be aware of yet. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest blocker to success as far as getting to the next level, is not even knowing what you don't know. If you don't know what you don't know, how are you going to know what you don't know, right? So, I mean, that's one of the biggest things. So if you guys look at this and you guys process some of these things that I'm talking about, then you're going to be able to get to the next level a little bit quicker, okay? So the problem, again, most interns do exactly what they're told. You're not doing extra. You're not going out trying to excel. You're not trying to be in the top 1%. You're not trying to form a win, you know, pun intended. And, you know, then you're obviously not going to get a return offer when you're competing with other people who maybe they just do the same thing and they do exactly what they're told and that's it. Or if there's like a little bit of someone doing something extra, they're going to get it, you know, over you, unfortunately. And that's just the reality of the world. And why this happens is because managers don't reward effort. Effort's great, but obviously we only care about results, right? Especially in life, no matter where you're at. You know, you can try as hard as you can to study for a test, but that's not going to make a difference at the end of the day if you don't pass it, right? Because all the effort you put in, that's cool, but all we care about is a result. We live in a results-oriented world. It's not only about the effort that we put in. And some people can, you know, messes up in the internship as far as like going into the internship. Sorry, ChatGPT's talking to me again here. All right, we got out of it. We're good. We're good. So, you know, when you get into the internship, if you think you're putting in effort by working on something based off your knowledge without having, you know, some different exposure, you might think you're putting in a lot of effort, working hard and doing really good, but it's not going to lead to what you want. We're going to go over cues at what good looks like, so you guys have a good processing with that. But you guys need to just think about it. Effort, again, is not what's going to work, okay? They reward leverage, trust, and execution. So executing on something specific and guaranteeing the result. Trust, building reliability with yourself. You know, I talk with a lot of VPs all the time, and one of the biggest things that they've taught is that one of the top skills that they have that got them to where they're at is reliability. That's one of their traits. That's one of their skill sets. That's something you need to develop. And developing extreme reliability as an intern is going to guarantee you a full-time offer. Trust me. And the leverage comes from that too, because the leverage is you positioning yourself, okay, to be valuable to the company. These companies are businesses at the end of the day. You know, they're businesses. They're not just big, you know, schools. They're not like just, you know, fake corporations. They're businesses. They're the goal is to be profitable and change the world, right? So in that profit, your leverage is adding enough value where it's not profitable to lose you. And, you know, they have to keep you. So you get leverage from your positioning and what you put into it and the results you produce, the reliability you build, the trust, the execution. All of that is what happens and how managers start looking at this stuff, okay? So intern does not equal student. This is one of the biggest things too. As a student, you know, sometimes you might have a lot of pride in that, and I get it. As far as, you know, you have a lot of classes, you have a lot of work to do. We're all busy. We all get the same 24 hours. Everybody has the same things that they're doing, right? I mean, we all have classes to do. We all have work. We all have family. We all have whatever's going on in our lives, right? But, you know, that's not an excuse, okay? You cannot use it as an excuse. They know you're a student. You can be upfront with them when you set expectations, or if you have a weekly meeting with them, whatever the case is. Obviously, you know, communicate. We're going to talk about that too. But don't ever use that as an excuse. You guys need to master being a student, so that way you can excel as an intern. That's one, like, that's really huge, guys. You need to start thinking about this. You're a temporary employee. This is a trial period. This isn't you're a student and like we're in like a fun time. This is like, hey, you're an employee and you're not there just for fun. They put you there because they believe you belong there, and you have a chance to shine, excel, and then guarantee that full-time offer. They're there to invest in you. This internship is not, again, for fun. This is for them to see you as a full-time employee and then get your foot in the door. Okay. So think about that, process that a little bit, and we're gonna go over some case studies really quick. I guys want you to like envision this, and I only listed a few things here. I want you to think about some different interns and some different things that other people have done. Okay. So intern A, did tasks, stayed quiet, waited for instructions. Okay. So this is intern A, and then I'm asking you a question at the end here, but you did some tasks, you stayed quiet, waited for instruction. Maybe you played a casual, maybe you just showed up on time, clocked in, clocked out. You did, the basic bare minimums, and you made sure you got the job done, and that's it. Intern B, right? Asked outcome-based questions, communicated progress, built trust early, and just went above and beyond, right? Think about some different traits and some different qualities that these two people are doing. Okay. If we take it back to intern A, maybe this intern A doesn't follow up all the time, or they work on a task for too long, or maybe milk a task, if that makes sense. Maybe intern B takes tasks, run with it, stays extra, works extra, doesn't clock the time that they're working because they just want to show that they're results oriented and they're doing more than everybody else. Maybe they're taking risks. Maybe they're doing more. Maybe they're thinking outside of the box. Maybe they're getting creative. Maybe they have a mentor. Maybe they have a coach that, also thinks outside of the box and has bigger goals and bigger dreams. And when you have bigger goals and bigger dreams, you're able to start comprehending this internship or these small things as, just baby steps. And like, again, step 1 out of 10,000, when you start viewing it from that perspective, you start taking actions a little bit differently, because we don't have time to mess around, guys. We only get a little bit of time in this life to make the most of it and become a leader in the industry, as well as in our lives, our family lives, and everything. And that's only going to happen if we're intentional with every second. So that's what intern B does. Okay. So who would you hire? Who performed better? Who do you think did, right? Obviously, we're going to say intern B, obviously, is going to be the better candidate in that situation based off what they're looking at, right? So how can you be closer to intern B? What have you done that resembles intern A, right? So this is all for you guys to write some notes down as far as what that looks like in your life. Again, everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different situation. Everybody has a different time frame for where you're at. So I want you to take a step back, look at this and say, okay, intern A, right? What have I done? Even if you're more so like intern B, what have I done that reflects intern A? Okay. What have I done that reflects intern B? What does the perfect version of me, or what does the better version of me look like? And then write that stuff down. Write down what not to do based off what you just said about intern A. Okay. Give you a moment, process that, take that in, and do that. Super critical and super important, guys. Okay. Now, the real separator, it's not intelligence. Again, something else to kind of just pivot a little bit is, I'd rather hire somebody that's going to add value to the team and bring people up and add value, internally, make the team more, put together, have it more as a family, make everybody grow together. I'd rather focus on that versus solely intelligence. You can learn skills, you can learn intelligence, you can learn some of this stuff, right? But if someone is just strictly like top of the charts, super intelligent, that's great. But if they can't add value to the family culture and build a team that operates and, has momentum, I wouldn't want to hire that person, because I wouldn't want to work with that person. I'm sure you guys wouldn't have wanted to work with that person too. I'm sure that you've been in projects before where there's a know-it-all, right? A know-it-all, and then you don't want to work with them. That's exactly what this is. So it's not intelligence, especially when you're in an internship. It's not knowing everything. They're not expecting you to know everything. To get this return offer and to excel and to show that you're better or to show that you're worthy, it's positioning and execution. Okay. So we're going to be talking about this again a lot. I'm going to keep saying some of these same things, but positioning is critical. You need to start playing chess, not checkers. Okay. So, I'm sure you guys have heard that before, but in terms of this internship, this is not just okay, show up, do a little bit of work. Okay. Boom, classes, boom. Right. So you need to figure out how to get ahead and structure your week accordingly to make sure that you're able to give it your all in all these things that you do. Right. And, it's not always about putting in, 100 hours or 40 hours and like just putting in like a certain amount of time. I'd rather you be results oriented. I'd rather you under promise and over deliver. That's a big thing. And that's a really good thing to do with positioning, because that really goes a long way. Again, these are businesses at the end of the day. That's a good skill set to have inside of engineering, outside of engineering, and everywhere. All right. So let's chat about the next thing here. So what managers watch, okay? Reliability, communication, ownership, coachability. I can't emphasize this enough. Let's just talk about communication really quick. Communication is one of the biggest things. A lot of people don't communicate really well. I was actually looking at something like earlier, like a few years ago, as far as like one of the interns or one of the engineers and the way that they communicated. And one of the biggest things is that, not knowing how to email properly, not knowing how to convey your ideas. Something I really would love for everybody to do, especially in engineering, I think this should be a requirement, is having a sales job before you get into the industry. Something weird, but if you work in sales for 3 months, it changes your life. It changes everything you do. So I'm sure everybody would agree that we're going to be talking to people for the rest of our lives, right? No matter how much AI takes over, no matter how much, AI is coming in, we're doing tools and all this and that, like nothing is replacing this. as far as, you talking to somebody, you shaking somebody's hand, you being in a meeting with somebody. Nothing is replacing this human element. So you need to learn how to sell yourself, sell a mission, sell a company, sell a product, sell a program, whatever it is you're doing. You need to learn how to sell it. And that's communication. It's critical. So I suggest that you guys study that, perfect that, learn that, because that goes a long way, especially when you're running meetings, trying to push agendas, ideas, and make sure that a company is moving forward. And at the end of the day, whatever your role is, no matter how technical, no matter what you're doing, you're trying to push the company forward, and you need to learn how to communicate and sell yourself appropriately. So that's really big. And that's not what managers watch for directly, but that is what they see as far as results basis, as far as what they kind of build, what they notice. They're not looking and saying, okay, is this guy good at sales? Is this guy good at communication? They're just going to see it, and they're going to notice when you're bad at it. That's what they're going to notice. They're not going to specifically look, okay, is this person good? They're going to notice when you're bad at it based off what happens, right? So a few years ago, there was someone that was really bad at communication, right? Someone asked for something, and then they were kind of talking a little bit about like, okay, well, if you really need me to send it, I'm going to go on ahead and send it, right? So like that was one, and they put that into an email to a customer, and that's kind of wild to do, right? And that's just like an egregious example, but a lot of people don't have this training as far as emails, communication goes. So again, I would recommend you guys read books, watch some of our videos, come to these webinars, right? This is training. What you're doing right now, pause for a moment, is training. This is something that you should do today, tomorrow, and every single day for the rest of your life. This is like a muscle. If you don't constantly train, work on your career, everything we're talking about here, then it's going to go away, right? So you guys really need to focus on that. You guys really need to learn that. And again, going back to this, as far as what managers watch for, reliability. If you say you're going to do something, are you going to do it? Ownership. If they give you a task, are you going to treat it like your own baby? Are you going to make sure it's taken care of? Are you going to make sure it's fed, it goes to sleep at a certain time, taking care of a baby and everything that goes into that? Or are you going to say, okay, well, I'm going to kind of leave the baby over there, see what happens, let somebody else kind of help me with it, take care of it? Or are you going to own it? Is that your task? Is that your thing? Is that your product? Is that your program? Is that your business? You treat your career like a business. I talk about this all the time. I think everybody should treat their career like a business. If you're not, you need to change your mentality about it. It's not just a job. It's not just something that you clock in and clock out of. Maybe it is for some people. That's cool. But we're not talking to, the people that don't want to be exceptional, that don't want to be leaders. Everybody here wants to be leaders, right? So, think about that, process that, and start taking ownership of your life, but more so your career too. Everything you do, you have the chance to be the best at. I promise you that no one else is thinking like this, or if they are, they're only thinking about it, 10% of the time. Something I always like to say as well is, if you go out to 100 people and you ask them all if they have a growth mindset versus fixed mindset, everybody's going to say they have a growth mindset, right? But do they actually? So that's the same thing here. Obviously, everybody's going to say, yes, I'm reliable. Yes, I have good communication. Yes, I'm a good, I have good ownership. Yes, I'm coachable. But are you actually? Now, coachability, this is another key thing that I love talking about. Coaching, obviously, that's what we do with Form and Win, but showing you're coachable to a manager is a different story as far as what they say and what they kind of teach you, or if they help you with something. If you go back to a second time, a second meeting, a second email, a second talk, a second task, and you don't apply what they coached you on, that's showing you're not coachable. And that bleeds into reliability as well. But you need to show that you're coachable. You need to show that you're okay to make mistakes, learn from it, but then also take something and never make mistakes again. Super important, guys. So make sure that you pay attention to that. Okay. Let's get into silent intern killers. Now, guys, this is super important. I will say I've learned from my own mistakes as well as people that we've helped as part of our program. But I used to not be a good intern, right? I was overconfident. I was like, okay, I'm an intern now. There's so many students that aren't interns. I guess I'm better, right? And I'm sure some people have felt like that a little bit, but then that's not a good skill. Silence as well. And we're going to talk about how to communicate, but as far as being silent, if you're not talking with somebody like every day that you're working or every day that you're in your internship, is a problem. Yes, you're going to be locked in doing what you're working on, but you also need to build a culture, right? You guys want to be a differentiator. You guys want to be exceptional in the industry, right? That's only going to come if you help contribute to the culture. If that's a little bit each day, if you talking, going around doing something or adding value to people, that's what you need to do. If you have a just tell me what to do energy, because this is the thing, this is the silent intern killer, guys, okay? Just tell me what to do energy comes from you being stressed out about school, stressed out about something else. And that's cool. Again, we all go through life. We all have the same 24 hours. We all have issues. Okay. I'm not perfect. No one else is perfect. But what we do need to understand is, again, that we do get the same 24 hours. So we need to control what we can control and take action where we can take action. Just tell me what to do energy comes directly from that. Okay. So you guys need to process that, think about that. Have you performed like that? Have you acted like that? Write that stuff down. That's stuff that you need to change immediately. Okay. Next, visibility versus noise. So this is super important as well. You guys need to be visible. You guys need to call your shot. A lot of people I talk to are very scared to, email VPs or talk to VPs or go out and do something egregious. You guys need to shoot your shot. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Okay. So that's one of the biggest things. That's a quote that I live by. Like if I'm in an opportunity and there's a chance to talk with somebody, there's a chance to take a shot, there's a chance to make an opportunity happen, I'm taking every chance no matter what. The worst thing that happens is they say no. If I'm professional, if I'm a good person, I live by my values and my morals, and I go up and I do something or I take a shot, then that's it. That's all that we can ask for. But what's guaranteed to happen if you don't go out and do something and you try to get visible is that nothing will happen. Okay. So you need to stand out. Standing out is super critical. Don't be annoying, right? You need to, then there's a fine balance between that. And that's where coaching comes in, because mentor uses, again, you can meet with your mentor once a month, every so often. But this being annoying, visible, managing the balance of like how to go week to week, day to day, that's what we handle. That's why I love coaching. There's nothing like that in the engineering industry, that someone's going to work with you tight and make sure you get from point A to point B. That's what we love doing, right? So that's super important too, that you guys get something like that, or you guys just process that or reflect on yourself each day, right? If you're going and you have your internship, look at it daily. It's important to do that. Visibility must be intentional as well. Now, the only way you're going to be able to get visible is if you're analytical about your day. Okay, if you're analytical about your day, your internship, and everything that you're doing, and you're results oriented, then you're able to look at each day and say, okay, how can I make this visible? How can I make the work that I did visible? How can I get noticed? How can I make sure that we're moving forward, right? So that's the biggest thing, guys. A lot of times visibility beats technical prowess, as well as, just being the best, right? If you're visible, like that's what that's one of the things too. Like if no one knows who you are, then they don't know who they like, and like even if you're the best, they just don't know who you are. So you need to make sure that you get visible. Okay. So make sure you do that, guys, especially in the internship. A lot of people can be scared to kind of talk to a lot of engineers, or go out, talk to your manager, or talk to some higher ups in the company, or whatever the case is. You can't be scared. You need to work on that. Trust me. Okay. The 30-day framework. So we're going to talk about this. This is a good time to kind of reflect on, if you have an internship coming up, if you're looking at internships, whatever it is, start looking at it as, okay, this is the 30-day framework that you should apply when you're just starting your internship. Okay. Observe, execute, document. Okay. So that's just some basic things, but day 1 through 7, observe. So when I start a position in an internship, you need to just understand everything that's going on, but you also need to take notes on everybody that you talk to. Okay, this person's name. Okay, what's their birthday? Did they mention something about this? Okay, boom, 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 boom. You guys need to treat your career like a business, and a business does very well when they remember things that happen, so things don't fall through the cracks. Don't let things fall through the crack for you. Control what you can control. You can control your time and what you put into it by taking notes about everything you learn, about everything that, everyone you talk to, every process, every system, every little thing. And you need to ask smart questions based off of that. You're only going to be able to ask smart questions if you take notes on things, so you don't forget something simple and have to re-ask that too. And that's the coachable factor as well. We talked about coachability and how to stand out. There's nothing more coachable, or showing that you're coachable, than not asking the same question, which is cool to do that, right? I mean, we're all human. I'm not saying to be perfect, but I am saying that if you're more intentional, you control what you control. And let's just take 3 interns. One intern, just goes in like normal, and then they have to re-ask a few questions or whatever the case is. There's another intern that, maybe they're a little bit more edgy, and, like they only ask a few questions. And then there's you, which only had to ask 1 question out of the next 2 months because you take notes and you're more active. I'd rather be that person. And that's in our control because we're being intentional. And there's more things that come with everything I'm talking about than just asking questions, right? If you take notes on everything you learn, you observe, and you're more intentional with this internship and this framework and this structure, guys, you can do things radically different. You can almost secure a full-time offer within these 7 days if you do this right. But going back to observing, you need to see how the company operates. Every company is different. Every team is different. And you need to learn where their gaps are, where their holes are, and where you can fill in and make a difference and change. Something I always like to say is excelling. There's no reason that you can't set the bar higher in this internship. And this is a critical phase because you're observing, you're new. They're not expecting you to do anything day 1, and you shouldn't do anything day 1. You need to learn and, respect your elders as far as seniority goes on the team. You need to respect all these things. So you need to learn the systems before changing them. Okay. So that's days 1 through 7. Then we're going to talk about days 8 through 21. Okay. Execute. Deliver clean work, close loops, and reduce friction. So let's talk about what this looks like. You're going to be starting to be given tasks. Okay. The biggest thing I can recommend here is doing more than your time allotted. So if you are supposed to work 10 hours, I would recommend you work maybe 15. If you have to work sometime on the weekend, sacrifice some fun, I recommend you do that, because that's going to help cut the learning curve So that way you excel faster, no matter how strong you are, no matter how smart you are, that's going to help you cut the learning curve. So that way you can deliver these clean work, you can close loops. And what that means specifically when you're closing loops inside of this process is when you're doing this work, when you're, working on new projects, when you're working on new systems, when you're working on new technical work, or maybe you're doing test engineering, whatever it is that you're doing, you need to be able to work on something and be able to get some answers yourself. So if there's somebody that knows something, like you need to start developing your book of business inside of this company. And when I say book of business, this is coming from your notes that you took from observing when you're first starting. You're taking notes on everybody you're talking to, all the leaders, all the people that know different things. Okay. And then you're processing this and you have, some kind of Excel sheet, maybe if you want to keep a OneNote, if you want to keep just paper notes, but whatever it is, you need to be able to close loops by knowing who knows what and being a master networker, right? That's one of the biggest things too. If you know someone that knows something and someone's looking for something, just be that person that can make all this stuff happen. A company is building assets. You're an asset. Every other team member is an asset. And that's going to be really important for you guys to do. Okay. And reducing friction. What that means is that when you're first starting, it's going to be expected. You need to learn, especially as an intern. They're not expecting you to know everything, but what they are expecting is for you to come in strong, help out, and then it's your job to be the best. And the way that you can do that is reducing friction as far as people teaching you what to do. If people are teaching you what to do, sometimes they can get annoyed, or sometimes it's a little bit weird because they have their own stuff to worry about. Then you're coming in, then they have to worry about you. So if they can worry about you less, reducing the friction, that goes a long way, especially if you're with other interns and those other interns are kind of adding friction. And then, you're kind of like the scapegoat where, they know that you got this. That goes a long way, especially when it comes to time for like performance reviews or whatever the case is, when you're starting to get closer to the end of the internship or when you're closer to getting a full-time offer, that's where all this stuff comes up. It's not going to come up day 9. You're going to start being treated a little bit differently, most likely, if you're fitting in this category of exceptional versus being more frictional. That's a really big thing. I had to learn that the hard way, unfortunately, but I'm very happy I went through it. But now I'm telling you guys, so you guys don't have to go through that. That's the biggest thing with coaching. That's the biggest thing with having mentors, is learning from these mistakes so you don't have to repeat history. Okay. And with that said, you guys can start compressing timeframes instead of, 4 years of getting an internship or 4 years of waiting to get a full-time offer. You can now start compressing these timeframes by taking action on this. That's also going to increase your value, and then you get paid what you're worth. That's one of the biggest things, guys. I'm here to tell you, you guys can go out, accomplish, and do whatever you want. If you've heard some talk before where, okay, you need to wait until you graduate before we start talking about what these full-time jobs look like. Just worry about classes, improve your resume, get more experience, X, Y, and Z, whatever the case is. Like, I get it, but you can also go out and do whatever you want. And guys, you can go out, form a way, and execute and be the most valuable person in this internship, and then get a return offer ASAP like Trey did, right? We talked about that, how he got his internship offer or his full-time offer a year in advance. How do you do that? You do everything we're talking about, okay? Now, days 22 through 30, document. I can't stress this enough. We talked about this, but this is where communication comes in, right? Make impact visible. This is where we get visible. Everything we're doing, we should be sharing. There's one intern and there's another intern, okay? And I've done this with interns that I've managed before. So let's just take 3 interns, okay? And then this is a real example too. So one intern, just does their work. They show up, they're good, they're smart, cool, we're doing good. There's another intern that does okay. They're kind of silent, they're kind of reserved. They don't know how to get out of their box. They probably should have a sales job, okay? And not a lot of people are going to say that, but you can work that on the weekends for 1 day a week for 2 months, and then you're good. Recommend you do that. But then there's someone, okay? And then we have another person who's like exceptional. They're super passionate, right? They're working hard. Now, I tell them all, I want you to email me and your leader, like me and the manager, weekly, okay, with accomplishments. All right. One does it every week, no matter what. Another one does it every now and then. Another one just doesn't do it. Okay. Who's more visible? Obviously, the person that's sending those emails, right? Now, they obviously have to do good work with that. You can't just do that, then expect to get results. But that's one thing, like that's an easy controllable. And then that's going to help you look back as well for your resume. When you're at the end of the internship, you're looking to kind of look back and, define your resume. You just have like 4 months of everything that you just did. Your leader knows it too, then you have it, then you can really compact that. So I recommend that you guys do that. That's a really good key. That's really something you should do. Share your progress. I mean, you could do that daily in your internship. When you're talking with engineers, talk with them, reflect on it. And you're only going to be able to do that if you're exceptional in it and you're making progress. So you need to focus on how you make progress, and how you make progress. One way that I said it is by doing extra, outside of the clock, outside of your normal time, outside of what's expected. I would recommend you do that. But another way you can do it is by making sure that you clearly understand the task before you start it. I can't tell you how many times, sometimes some people start tasks and then they do it, then they come back a day later and they're like, okay, yeah, I'm almost done. Then we look at it and it's like, well, that's not what we needed at all, right? So you need to make sure that you're super clear. You set expectations, you talk with somebody, and then you say, okay, so this is what the task needs to be. Okay, what are your expectations? Is there any previous work that's been done that's similar to it? Okay, so you want X, Y, and Z down to a T, just like that. Okay, so we're all in agreement. Perfect. Okay. That's one of the biggest things as well. Track wins. Wins are going down into all of these things and making progress on, different projects, different tasks that you have and the end result of them. Track the results, not just, the different work or, okay, I sent this email, I did this, and that. What was the result of these things? Track them. That goes into that weekly email. Okay. Document, we talk about this a lot as far as what documenting looks like, but you guys need to document absolutely everything. Trust me when I say that. Trust me when I say do this weekly email. Do it before anybody even tells you to do it. Don't wait for somebody to tell you to do something. Go out and do these extra things that go the extra mile, because all these things I'm talking about are going to set you apart. Okay, so do that. Let's keep going. Let's talk about communication. We talked about as far as the weekly check-ins go, but communication as well is a little bit different. Every time you go in the morning, you should go in and greet everybody. Okay, that's one of the biggest things. You should go in, shake a hand, high five, fist bump, good morning, how are you, upbeat, improve the culture, improve the environment. You want people to like you. You want people to feel better being around you than they are without you. You want people to want you to be part of the team. That's going to come up in different little things when, randomly throughout the week over the next months, if there's one situation that someone's talking about, oh yeah, we should do this, and that. Oh yeah, we love them. And then they associate that. Okay, so now you're in good graces and you're doing great work. That goes such a long way. It's not even funny. And all these things, managers don't watch for this. It's just what happens and how it works, right? Maybe they watch for it. Maybe they look for it, but that's not what they're thinking about every day. What they're thinking about every day is making sure that they're, profitable in the company as far as what they're responsible for, making sure the technical side of things are moving forward. And that's, at the forefront. They're not trying to worry about micromanaging you. Okay, that's your job to micromanage yourself. And I'm teaching you how to micromanage yourself to show them, be visible, have great success, add value to the culture, and do all of these things. One thing I will say that I haven't talked about in the slides yet is filling a gap, right? So we talked about sometimes there's things that slip through the cracks. Something that I recommend someone on a previous team had done as far as the team goes, if you're working on a big team, a sub team, whatever the case is, if you have a team and, there's a culture element to it, like, what if you guys made a logo for yourselves and it's something like unique, weird, you guys incorporate the company logo maybe and something, specific to you guys. What if you guys make t-shirts? What if you lead that? What if you lead that? What does that do? You're adding value to the culture. You're making everybody feel like a family. You're standing out. There's so many ways for you guys to be different and unique. Something that I've done, especially as part of my job, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Agile workflow. You guys can look that up later, but basically it's a way to manage tasks. And in this, there's one of the ceremonies or one of the meetings we have to make sure the tasks are managed properly. It's called retrospective. And in retrospective, we review what went well, what went bad, and things we can improve on. Something I wanted to add, with a bunch of people being early career engineers, is inviting guest speakers, because that's super important to network, connect with higher ups. And, talked about connecting with VPs earlier. And that's where I do it. I invite everybody, I've messaged the CEO, I swear, like all of these things, like all that stuff is important. Take a risk, take a shot, and do all of these things. Okay. Communication system, though, you can come up with your own communication system. It can look a little bit different. It can be a little bit more detailed. It can be a little bit more in depth. It just ranges on what this looks like. Okay. But as far as silence goes, you cannot be silenced. That is so risky. If no one knows what you're doing, you're not visible, you're not communicating, then they're not going to be able to help you. They're not going to know what you're doing, and they're not going to know if you're progressing or, finishing a task. You don't want to wait for somebody to come to you to ask how things are going. They just need to know based off of everything that you do. Okay. Updates create trust. That means that you care about the company, you're treating your career like a business, and that business that they have, the company, that just becomes your own, right? Treating it like a baby, like we talked about. That's where this comes in. If they see that you care about it so much and you're working really hard, you're diligent, you're adding value to the culture, you're doing all these things, that's communication. Communication is not just, checking in, saying hi once a week. Communication is doing this daily. Morning greetings, daily. Exit greetings, daily. All of these things, daily. Emails, weekly, this, everything, results, meetings, all these things, finding a way to stand out. All of this is communication, guys, okay? How to impress your manager. So we've already talked about how to do that pretty in depth, right? I think you guys can probably agree that we've talked about how to impress, your manager, your team, but there's still more tactical ways that we can do this too. And this is only, again, going to come from us setting a foundation, taking notes. I would recommend you guys watch this webinar just every week. If you're starting an internship, you guys should go replay this, watch it every week. You're going to think about some new things, take the transcript, run it through ChatGPT, whatever you guys want to do, but how to impress your manager, right? Anticipate needs, solve small problems, make their lives easier. Super critical. If you watch and then you start learning systems, you documented, you took notes, you start seeing how these systems and how these businesses are run, then you're able to start saying, hey, like, I know where I can make their life easier. There's an extra meeting that they tend to run late to. Maybe I can help them with this one thing. Or, hey, there's this system and process that they have. I've noticed a gap in it. Let me identify something to make it easier. One easy thing for you guys always is whenever you start a new position, there's always onboarding. There's always something that, there's like a system in place for that. That's the key place for you guys to make an improvement ASAP. Not every onboarding is perfect. And you getting onboarded, if there's something you feel that there should have been, go back when you're done with onboarding and add it in and you improve the process. That's an immediate win you guys can have. That's an easy way to impress it right off the rip. Day 7, you can do that. Okay. Anticipate needs. Anticipating needs is going to be different. It's going to range, between what you're doing, what program you're working, what project you're working, what company you're in. But if you can anticipate what they need when you start getting in flow with the system and process and the business and whatever they're doing, then you can start really helping out, start, predicting some things. If we're like, hey, we have something to do by, month of June, and you've seen something in the past now for the past month where you're like, okay, well, I can see that this takes a little bit of extra time, X, Y, and Z. So now you can start anticipating some things, put some things in place. And some ways that I've done this personally is as a systems engineer, right? I'm a system engineer. I work on requirements and verification. When something needs to be verified or there's an event coming up and there's a due date and, I can see how a team is operating and how we're doing things. If I'm able to say, okay, like at this event or this due date that we need to have something done by, what steps can I take in place weeks before to make sure that everything is set up properly? So for example, if we need to make a verification piece of something, right? A few weeks before, we're going to set this up properly and say, okay, boom, I'm going to put one step in place. I'm going to put 2 steps in place, meet with this person, make sure this person is on page. Okay, I'm going to set up this meeting. And then all that is in place for the final result where that week it's like, okay, now everybody's caught up to speed. Everybody can move quickly. That's one of the biggest things too, guys. If you're in a process and a system and they say you have to do things, a certain way, follow a certain process, it takes 4 business days. I can't emphasize that enough. Kind of going back to my story really quick. The way that I got my offer was within 24 hours. I got a call randomly, basically looking at something. It was like me and my manager. We were trying to figure something out. You guys can go hear my story. But within 24 hours, I got an offer of like just off rip without doing interviews or anything. And that's crazy to think about how we just skipped to 27 HR managers, right? With that one process, now kind of relating back to this, we skipped to 27 HR managers or whatever we have, right? That's kind of like a joke as far as, like the processes, systems in place. You can do that in some different areas, tactically, practically anticipate needs, solve small problems, and do that where you can start seeing like, does this really need to take this amount of time? How can I make sure it goes quicker? If there's an approval process that takes a certain amount of time, a design process that takes a certain amount of time, how can you front load that a little bit easier to make that, quicker for people to approve or for different things to happen? So a different way to think about things, some little work experience, some things that I'm talking about. But as far as how to impress your manager, you guys need to do this. It's very unique. It's very niche. It's very, sometimes it's hard to do, but this is where you need to work with your coach or just figure out exactly and like go back and look at this and start taking notes, documenting everything. Then once you're able to do that, you're able to then look at this practically and tactically. Okay. So think about that, ask better questions. So this is one of the biggest things as well. This is an obvious way to look at it. So we're going to go over obvious. Bad question. Is this good? Good question. Does this solve X? Right. So like that's cool stuff. And I get it. But there's obviously ways to make sure that you stand out with the questions that you ask. Don't just, especially with managers or other engineers, their time is valuable. Everybody's time is valuable. Everybody gets the same 24 hours. And, the way that they spend it is most likely them trying to do something or compress timeframes or figure out how to do something. Then they're trying to manage their self, maybe go to lunch or whatever the case is, right? So if you ask a bad question and then they start associating you coming up to them or you asking something with it being a waste of time, that's a problem. You need to ask good questions so they associate you coming up to them with it being a valuable time, with it being a beneficial time, with it being a positive time. That's those morning greetings. That's those morning handshakes. So we need to start thinking about association and how this looks holistically, right? Because if we're not doing that, it could be a problem, okay? So think about that, process that, and start asking some better questions. Start thinking before you ask questions. Don't just go up and ask a question, sit, pause, maybe write the question down and say, okay, is this a good question? Sit on it for a minute. Okay, boom, it is a good question. I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna go ask. Okay. Or you can get a second opinion as well. That's something really good to do. If you get buddy with an engineer before you ask someone that actually needs it, you can just start developing a mentor relationship that way too. And we're not talking about how to develop mentors inside the engineering internship, but I will say by the end of the internship, if you don't have a list of 20 mentors to call or a list of 20 mentors that you're able to kind of connect with, you're doing something wrong as well. So we can talk about that outside of this webinar, but it's really important that you guys build that up as well. Networking inside of it is super critical, and it all comes from everything we're talking about. A lot of what we're talking about is front level, but I can't go super in depth and tell you guys tactically how to do and what to do on day 67 like if we're not doing this right now. Okay. So as far as good questions, communication, all these things are framing, and you need to frame yourself inside of the company, inside the internship to stand out. And that's how you do it. Okay. So ask better questions, super critical, super important. Building leverage early, leverage over GPA all the time, leverage over hours work all the time. Can't emphasize this enough, guys. GPA doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. At the end of the day, most of the classwork that you're doing is not going to directly reflect into the work that you're going to be doing. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Most likely it's not. But leverage is going to help you in all of these situations get a return offer. So now transferring to that, how do we make sure we get a return offer? Again, this is a case-by-case basis. I'm telling you holistically, rewatch everything that we did as far as communication and building all of these things to set yourself apart. And all of these things are going to create leverage for yourself. So how do you build leverage early? By doing everything that we talked about. I would rather you go from a 4.0 to a 3.0 and have all the leverage in the world in the internship. And then you're able to actually accomplish your dreams and do everything that you want. Okay. The amount of time it takes to go from a 3.0 to a 4.0, or, get straight A's, or, from a 90 to a 99 even, right? More so like from a 90 to a 99 in your classes. It's just not worth it, right? Depending on where you're at, depending on what your goals are. I'd rather you focus on standing out in the internship, because at the end of the day, the goal of all this, the goal of us going to college is to get a full-time job, a job of our dreams, and work on things that we've always dreamed about, right? If that's the case, we need to have leverage. We need to start thinking about this tactically. And the way that we do it tactically is by treating our career like a business. And I can't emphasize that enough, guys. I'm always going to say that. I'm always going to talk about it. You're going to see videos. We have lots of other videos coming out. It's going to be really cool. But as far as leverage goes, right, if we start looking at this as a business, we track our leads, our networking, our mentors, everything that we do, and we start figuring out how to do everything properly and start tracking things and, give our life some analytics, right? Okay, what is this relationship doing? How is this growing? How do people respond to this internship when I said this, when I perform this task, when I do all these things? All of these things are going to help you start getting into the position of saying, okay, cool. Now I have leverage. Now I'm able to look at this a little bit differently. Okay. Critical that you guys do that. I can't stress that enough. And leverage over hours worked. Again, we talked about this. If you can get, let's say you're working a 40-hour work week in your internship. If you can get 40 hours worth of work done in 20 hours, you should spend that other 20 hours either doing more work, networking, or building leverage. And there's so many ways you can do that. Just take it, like, let's just take a basic example, which I promise you can apply in just anything that you're working on. Let's just say that average intern employee, they do 20 units a month, whatever that means, right? And you're able to figure out how to do 20 units in a week, right? Some people can view that and say, well, I'm just going to do 20 units in a week and goof around for the next 3 weeks. Or if you're serious about your career, you're looking to level up, you're looking to excel, you're looking to grow, you're looking to form a win, you're looking to do everything we're talking about, then you can look at this a little bit differently and say, hey, I can do this, for 3 weeks, and that fourth week, so now we're at 60 units a month, right? That fourth week, now I can network, maybe I can help somebody else out that's struggling, I can improve their process, and that's going to get noticed, guys. So that's one way to look at hours worked. Right. But I'd rather you have leverage than just saying, okay, I worked 60 hours, or I worked 12 hours today, or I did X, Y, and Z. Like, nobody cares. Everybody cares about the result. What does that result do? What does that look like? What are you doing? So you need to build leverage. You need to figure out how to do that. Okay. So can't stress that enough. You need to do it early and every single day for the rest of your life. Relationships. We touched on this. We talk about this all the time. You guys can go check out the last webinar too. It's all under the live streams and everything. But as far as relationships go, people fight for interns they trust. Trust is earned, not asked for. Okay. So we've talked about this a lot, but they're only going to fight for you. They're only going to fight to find you a position if they love you, and they need to love you. They need to trust you. They need to do everything that we talked about. And building relationships is super critical, right? Networking is based off value exchange. And in this, you're exchanging value by showing that you're reliable, trustable, coachable, name them out. We've talked about this a lot, guys, right? You guys need to show them that you're worth fighting for, and you're worth them putting their name on the line, saying like, hey, we need to get this kid hired, or hey, we need to get this intern hired, or hey, we need to get this engineer on the team, right? They're only going to be able to do that is if you're worth fighting for. And then you're only worth fighting for if you're a really good person, you follow everything that we said, you're super intentional, you start treating your career like a business, and you do it completely radically differently. Again, like, this is a really big thing, guys. How many times have you guys had a relationship, maybe in a work scenario, and then, you made one mistake or something, and then it turns sour, right? Like what happened? And like it's tough, guys, because then all they're gonna remember is that one thing. If you're working as an engineer and you're working on some tasking and there's one big mess up you had, that like they're not going to define you for that or hold you back, but it's human nature to remember that one thing. So again, we need to control what we can control. And in this scenario, in this situation, that's something that we can really control, right? Because in these relationships, we should be documenting, we should be intentional, we should be thinking before we ask, we should be doing all of these things, right? And if we're doing all of these things, then our relationships are going to grow and build a lot differently. All right. So think about that, process that, and return offer signals. So now let's say that we've got through the internship. Now we're kind of at a little bit of a different place. We're at a better place, right? What are some, signals that are going to be getting? This you should be noticing after day one, if they like you or not, or if you're building a good connection, you're building good rapport, you're building good reliability, you should start picking up on some of these things. And this is something else to think about too. And you're going to learn this if you do like the sales job I'm talking about, or if you just look up some psychology videos, maybe. You guys need to study some stuff, because you're not going to know what you don't know. And if you've never looked into it, then you need to, because then you're just not going to know how this works. But you need to start looking at how people respond to you, how people react to you, how people approach you. Do people like being around you? All these things are really critical. Technical work and results are also significantly more important. But if that's all that you have as far as results and people don't like you, you're not going anywhere. So think about that, process that, but feedback quality improves. Okay. So that's what's going to happen when you start doing a good job and you start really applying all these things that we're talking about. You start being exceptional. You start being a former win client. You start being a former win student. You start forming a win in your life. You start doing all of these things. Then the feedback is going to improve. They're going to spend more time with you. They're going to say, okay, cool. Like, let's sit down for a minute. Let's look at everything. Okay, cool. Do this, and that. Or maybe if a bad version of this is if they say, okay, yep, just work on that. We can talk later. That's not good. That means that they don't want to talk to you and they associate you with a bad time or, a waste of time. Right. And you can't have that, especially when you're looking at these things and you're trying to excel, you're trying to get return offers. You cannot have that. Right. So feedback quality is going to improve. And that's one of the signals. That's one of the cues. Okay. Responsibility increases. They're going to ask you to do more things. Obviously, that's a natural one. That's an easy one. But responsibility is obviously going to increase if you're doing a really good job. If they're pulling you aside and say, like, hey, why don't you work on this? Or hey, why don't you do this? That's a good sign. Okay. Conversations change the tone as well. So when you're having conversations, and the tone changes where it's not basic, it's not quick, and they're more invested, they're more looking at you in your eyes, they're spending time with you, they're wanting to talk to you, you're on a way to a meeting or you're on a way to go do something and they're spending more time with you, they're liking to talk, right? Like all that stuff is critical. If you feel tension, you feel something weird in your like gut or heart or something, it's probably going to be that there's something weird. So think about that as well, right? All of these are signals. These are things you should monitor for. These are things that you should assess weekly. Again, going back to treating your career like a business, if you look at this each week and you start measuring these things, and we're going to be coming out with products like for what you can do and print some of this stuff out and bring this to work and internships so you can measure this yourself without trying to figure this all out by your own. But as far as return offer signals, this is super critical for you guys to say each week, okay, what does this look like? Where did I improve? What needs to work on? Like what needs to change, right? So all critical stuff, right? So I can't stress that enough, really important. So make sure you guys focus on this. You guys can think of a lot of different ways as well, but these are just a few ways, okay? Now, why most students miss this, right? The fact that most students miss this is because, and there's only going to be 10%, 1% of the people watching this right now, watching the recording, that are going to take action on this, okay, and apply some of this stuff. But a lot of students miss this is because there's no accountability, there's no tracking, there's no system, right? So all of these things that are on the slide are super critical. But as far as what you're doing, you might just take this, run with it, think about it, say, well, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm fine as it is. That's how you fall into average. That's how you fall into not competing with anybody. That's how you fall into not excelling. That's how you fall into not being the top 1%. That's how you fall into not getting to where you want to get to. You guys need to switch your mindset. You guys need to switch your framing. A lot of you, again, might be in this growth mindset situation where we're saying, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do all this, but then you're going to get to work. You're going to be stressed out one day. They're going to be stressed out for a few weeks. And it's going to be, you're just trying to get by. And I get it. I've been there, right? But also for you, you need to really hone in on your purpose, that why we talked about and what that looks like. Okay. I'm going to ask for you guys for something in a second, in a little bit. So just kind of stay tuned and get ready. But why most students miss this: no system, no tracking, no accountability. You cannot rely on your team to be the best leaders in the world. Maybe they are, maybe they're not, but you don't know that. And the only one that's going to be able to coach you and know you the best is you. And as well as if you have somebody kind of holding you accountable for this. So you need to figure out a system for this. You need to figure out how you can do this, because you can't do it alone. That's great. But if you can find a way to do it with somebody, compressed timeframes, you got to do that. Okay. So think about that. Make sure you guys stay on top of that. And a lot of students, again, are going to miss this just because they're not intentional. It's really important that you're intentional with your career, where your feet are, you're present with all your situations, and you're figuring out how to always improve your processes and systems. you can't always work hard and beat everything else that you're doing, right? If you're working 40 hours a week, you can't just work hard and say, okay, I'm gonna work 120 hours a week. There's only a certain amount of time. We all get the same 24 hours. We have to improve our systems. We have to improve our processes. So you need to look at your holistic processes and systems in your life for how they can benefit you most. And a lot of students are going to miss a lot of the things in these internships from them stressing about classes, just like we talked about. So again, you need to focus on that as well and improve your system, improve your process, figure out, okay, I'm spending 20 hours here. How can I make this hour more beneficial? What can I take out? Okay, I don't need a 99. I'm good with a 92, right? So like there's so you guys need to treat your career like a business and manage this differently. And then inside your internship as well, you can treat that much differently. Okay. So you're more intentional, you're tracking more systems, more processes in there. You're starting to implement some things, you're starting to notice some trends. Now that you've documented everything, you've seen the way things operate, you're able to do it a little bit differently and improve this stuff. And now, from 20 units a month, like we've talked about, now you're able to do 30, right? So like you're able to do things differently. You guys need to constantly look at this, how you can set things up, delegate, and do things a little bit differently. Okay. So I really recommend you guys do that. It's not luck. This is repeatable. We see it in every cycle. I'm gonna take a sip of water, but it's really not luck. A lot of people could say that you get lucky, and that's great, but anything that's easy to get is not worth having. I don't want something that's easy to get, right? I don't want to just be given handouts. I don't want to just get something based off of luck. I want to get something because I deserve it. I've worked for it. I've earned it. And then with that, that comes with responsibility. That comes with leadership. That comes with a skill set. All of that is crazy critical. Okay. So we see it in every cycle. Every time you're in an internship, I see it all the time. A lot of people, maybe it's lucky. Maybe they just got their foot in the door, or maybe the stars aligned or something. And then they show up and they're overconfident. They don't work hard. And that's what happens. But it's not luck, guys. I can tell you just from my personal experience, everything I've seen, it is not luck. So now we're going to take a moment. I want you guys to drop in the chat some things you're going to take action on this week, things you're going to implement. We need to have some of this stuff. You guys need to take action. So I'm gonna give you a moment, reflect on your notes. We're gonna go over some more stuff, but take an action this week. Super important that you guys do this. You need to take an action. You need to think about this. What are you gonna change? What do you need to do differently? What's new? What needs to happen? Do you have an internship? What's happening? So I want you to reflect on that. I'm gonna wait to see some things in the chat, what that looks like, what actions you're taking. I'm curious because if you guys got some value out of this, I want to see where you're gonna take. So drop down an action you're gonna take. One or two, whatever it is. Let's see what we got. I'm sure you guys are getting a lot out of this too. Make sure you guys go watch back, take notes on this, take a moment, really reflect on it. Super critical that you guys do that. Make sure that you guys watch this, during internships, outside of internships. It's super important that you guys always train, because you could just show up to work, then it just becomes a job, but it's not. It's a career. It's something that we're privileged to do. It's something that we get to do. Okay. So it's really awesome to be able to do that. It's really fun, and we should take it more seriously, because everybody we're around, we're a leader by default. We teach people how to lead. We teach people how to grow. All of these things are super critical, and everybody looks at us no matter what the case is. So are we a leader? Are we making a difference, or are we just going slow? Finish out small projects. Just saw that. I love that. And make sure you make an action plan, a pinpoint what you can really achieve, and, compress some timeframes. Reflect on how it can improve communication skills. Awesome. I love that. If anybody has anything else to drop it down, really important. So kind of just to reflect on that too, as far as taking actions, communication skills. What areas are you weak in communication? What areas have you noticed? Okay. Who have you seen in your life that has had communication skills? They'd be more than happy to sit down with a coffee chat with you, talk, teach you a little bit. Maybe you need to go out, just talk to some people. Something I like telling people is go out to Starbucks, talk to 5 new people each day, right? You're probably drinking coffee anyway, or maybe just go in there, get a water, right? I love Starbucks water. I think it's triple filtered, so it's pretty cool. But you can go in there, talk to 5 new people each day, and that's going to help you, right? Because now you're going to start talking to different people, and that's going to help you start breaking some of this stuff. Then you can reflect on that too, be analytical about that situation. And then you're able to say, okay, cool, this is what I need to change. This is what I need to improve on. This is what went well. This is what didn't go well. And you also never know who you're going to meet. But as far as small projects go too, right, what needs to go into those small projects to make sure that it's a good result, a 10 out of 10, or it doesn't need to be a 10 out of 10, right? We can't do everything. We can't be the best engineer in the world, be the best X, Y, and Z and all this, but you really can't be the best at everything. It's just a matter of choosing your time wisely. right? If there's something that we don't need to spend our time doing, don't spend your time making it, 100 million% out of 10 when we should focus our areas elsewhere, right? Super important stuff. I'm loving the chat here. I'm seeing you guys are working on a bunch of different stuff. So it's really cool. Improve your system of doing work, going to work on how to communicate ideas better. Awesome, right? All great stuff, guys. Really good stuff. Make sure you guys take some stuff and then maybe take another action. But everything that's in this chat, I want you guys to remember, okay, and actually do it. Don't just be one of the people that came for this for fun. Take action and really do it, okay? Now we're going to talk about the Formula One community as far as what we do and what we look at. So it's not a course. It's not just a monthly call with your mentors. It's a different standard. It's a different group of people. It's not like, your typical engineering communities, your typical engineering programs at school. It's not like your typical basic stuff. This is really an intentional community with everything that we're building. Obviously, you guys have probably gotten a lot of value out of this, right? So imagine doing this weekly, twice a week, a few times a week, different extra big, smart, cool things, right? That's what we do here. And the community is really awesome when you're around like-minded people, because not a lot of people want to take a risk, invest in themselves, as well as be around a tighter-knit community and form a win and excel. So that's something I wanted to build, going back to why we started Formula One, because it's great to have everybody and every engineer in the room, but I don't want to just be like every engineer. I want to be one of the best, right? That's what we're building. That's what we're doing. That's what everybody that comes in gets out of this. And that's what everybody is. And you're going to be connected with everybody in that community. Super cool to be able to do that. And I did say this at the beginning, we're coming out with a secret. I want you guys to take a few guesses. We're going to take a few seconds here, but super excited to explain this, super excited to launch this. I'm going to be making a LinkedIn post about this. You guys are going to be hearing it first, basically, as far as what this looks like. I'm actually leaving Lockheed Martin. I'm moving out to Arizona. I'm going to Northrop Grumman. Super cool, awesome opportunity. It breaks my heart too, because I don't want to leave my team and where we're at, but it's an awesome new step forward. But I'm sure you guys can agree. Anybody can make a course. Anybody can do a webinar like this. Maybe, probably not, but a lot of people can do stuff. But what we're going to be doing, guys, is something groundbreaking. Okay. So the Formula One 30-day first position master blueprint. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be going live for my first 30 days in the role, okay, and showing you exactly what I do on how to stand out. Again, this is something that me and my team have been working on for a few months, is developing the course, because it's going to be a course, as well as live with me showing you exactly what I'm doing. So it's going to be really two birds, one stone. It's going to show you guys everything. You guys can ask questions after. There's going to be nothing like this. No one else is going to do anything like this. Basically, it's going to be an hour and a half each day. It's going to be recorded. You guys can have access to this for life, right? As far as what that looks like, it's going to be a small course in the beginning showing you exactly what to do. And we're obviously going to teach, past the 30 days as well, obviously, because we're not going to talk about courses for every second of every day, but I'm going to show you what I'm doing every second of every day, because then that way you can go replicate that, go stand out, get paid what you're worth, get promotions, and stand out and make sure that you're the best. So that's what I'm super passionate about. We're always coming out with new things like this, new groundbreaking industry things, because no one else is doing stuff like this. No one else is forming a win at this level. So that's what that looks like. The first 10 people now that are going to be signing up for school, if you choose to enroll, are going to get a 1-hour strategy call with me as well. Typically for this, I charge hundreds or thousands of dollars. A lot of our one-on-one clients pay for that. But if we can spend 1 hour, like you guys have spent some time here, 1 hour or so in this webinar, getting some value, that's going to be incredible for you guys, because you guys are getting value. You guys are going to go change your life. But if I'm able to spend 1 hour, really pinpoint, customize exactly what you're doing and give you something to run with, you can go change and get a lot of value. Okay. So the ask for this, guys, is really cool. It's going to be super simple. You guys are going to be part of the community. I'm going to send a link here in a second so you guys can get in. The first 10 people that choose to come in, I'm going to give you, the one-on-one call like I just mentioned. Here, I'm going to put this in the chat for you guys. And then, so that's there. You guys can also go look it up. But these are our core values. You're going to get access to this 30-day program I'm talking about. It's going to be really cool, guys, because we're going to go live. You guys are going to get locked in with me. You guys are going to have the recordings. You don't need to have you don't need to come to every call. We're also going to be doing another giveaway at the end of the VIP session. So the VIP part of this program today too is going to be Davis Booth. He's coming in. Awesome career coach, one of my mentors. I love him. He's done some really awesome things. So we're going to do a little interview with him, but afterwards we're going to go for a Q&A inside of the community. So you guys are going to be able to come in, ask some questions, do your thing. So we're doing that all the time as well. Some other things that we do in the school community is we have engineers come in monthly, sometimes weekly. We have other calls throughout the week. It's really cool, really awesome, tight-knit community. You guys are going to be able to connect with everybody as well. So if you guys want to get enrolled, the first 10 people. I'm going to track that. My team is going to look at that afterwards, kind of on the weekend, as far as what that looks like. Then you guys can schedule a time with me, and then we'll really go in depth for what your goals are, what that looks like, where you want to go, where you want to be. But really, I do hope you guys got a lot of value out of today. I hope you guys take that action that you talked about. You guys go implement it. And we're about to hop on at 7:30 here in a little bit with Davis Booth. He's going to come in. We're going to do an interview, ask some questions. So you guys are going to be able to stay tuned for that. It's going to be really cool. But I want you guys to take action today. Don't let this just be another webinar where you take just a small thing out of it. Let this be a moment where you say, hey, number one, I want to join a community that's like-minded because I want to be excellent. I want to be a leader. And if I can change my life for at least 1 month and do something different, that's going to make my life better. That's going to change my life. I'm going to do everything completely radically different. I'm going to become better. I'm going to become a leader. I'm going to do this internship better. I'm going to improve my system, my communication, my processes, all these things that I want to work on. I'm taking control because this is my life. This is everything that I want to work on. And, I need to make sure that I stand out. I want you guys to say that and take something that you learned today and go apply it, right? Guys, listen, it's super critical that you guys do that because you guys can make the choice to stay in a fixed mindset or go slow or take your time. And I get that. I do. But, the thing is that we all get the same 24 hours. We all get to do the same things. We all get to take our time. We all get to, but we also have the opportunity to go change the world. And we're only going to change the world if we're around people that also share that value. I heard someone speak before to kind of give you a really cool, fun example of, putting this in practicality. I heard someone speak at a leadership conference before, and they had ordered food for their team. Okay. The food came in, right? And then once the food got there, the team was trying to figure out for 30 minutes what to do with utensils because there was no utensils. So they're like, okay, what are we going to do? Should I go to the shop? Should I do this? I don't. And they wasted like 30 minutes. But the second the food got there, the leader took the food because he had something to do and just started eating with his hands because he didn't have time to worry about that, right? That's an extra example. But let's kind of boil this down. Like, who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you surrounding yourself with engineering students that meet up for a 2-hour project review, but they spend an hour of it talking about football or playing games or talking about scrolling or whatever the case is, right? Or is that an intentional 2 hours where people are bettering themselves, talking about wins, growing, networking, connecting, and doing some different things, right? Super critical. Less procrastination. I love that, right? That's also another goal. And then, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this offer open between now and midnight. So you guys have a little bit of time to think about it and kind of run through it and make sure you guys take action. My team is going to reach out to the first 10 people that join. We're able to timestamp it and see the first 10 people that join from now forward. You guys are going to get access to a 1-hour call with me, right? And then obviously, if you guys want to be part of the VIP, that's happening in a little bit here, but you're going to get access to a 1-hour strategy call. We're going to break things down. Sometimes if we need to go over 1.5 hours, I want to make sure that you change your life and have a practical strategy, tactical guide out of that call. So you guys need to realize, when you talk with me, it's not, oh, do this, do that. It's like, no, here's a full roadmap and here's everything you need to work on. And we're going to change your life instantly in there. It's priceless. Guys, if you've been struggling, you've been having a hard time, get in that call with me. And then we're going to be in the school community where we do group calls each week, twice a week. We're launching some more calls. It's incredible to be able to have this opportunity to help everybody out and do some things differently and be able to, provide different products, that's something else too we didn't even talk about is the products that we offer. We come out with trainings each week and we make products. I have my team go into the community. I have my team do some market research and I have my team look at some things and they make some products based off what we're doing, what new things are coming out, different career fairs, different systems, different interns, different processes, different client results, and then we make different products. So some of that is going to be an interview prep sheet, career fair prep sheet, and then everything we're talking about in this 30-day, first position master blueprint, we're going to be launching products for every day. Just like I was talking about the relationships before, how we're going to be making a product for that. We're doing a lot of things, guys. We've been working on this for a good amount of time, and it's going to be incredible. So you guys don't even know what you're in tune for. It's going to be insane. It's going to be wild. And guys, definitely take action. There's a day that you're born, there's a day that you die, and there's a day that your life changes forever. Let that day be today if you're ready to level up. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'll leave this open for a few. If you guys have some questions in the comments, I'll leave that open. So feel free to ask that. I'll talk a little bit more about the community. Then we're going to go on for a little small break. I'll reshare our time replay, and then we'll wait for Davis to come in. Then we'll ask some questions and get crazy, guys. So if you guys want to be part of the VIP, come on in, right? That's part of the school community as well. Just to kind of recap again what we do. The school community is insane. We do we do twice a week calls. We have engineers come in, answer some questions like Davis is going to be coming in. We have a resource wall with a bunch of different things, 24/7 peer support. We have other coaches in there from different engineering companies and all of our clients that have, had past wins in the past. They come in as well. It's insane, guys. It's incredible. So Like, it's really cool to be able to build a community like this. And that's what I always wanted to build. That's always what I wanted to have. And all the other organizations are great. They're cool, but it's just different when you guys are able to come in here, win together, and compress timeframes and get your dream results. So I love that. And again, the first 10 people that come on in, you guys are going to get an hour strategy call with me. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. VIP giveaway at the end of the VIP session. That's going to be it, guys. So welcome in, and I'm going to give our giveaway winner that entry here. I'm going to get with my team, make sure that we have that on the back end, and we'll talk soon, guys. So let me know if you have questions. We'll be back in about 15 minutes, and that's going to be it. So thank you guys so much for coming. It's been awesome. Again, make sure you guys take something from today, apply it, change your life, go out, do something differently, and really shine. You guys really have the chance to change your life, be the bloodline breaker in your family, and go out and accomplish anything you want to accomplish. That's when this starts. Go out, change it, be the best in your internship, and I'll see you guys later. How's it going? Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for coming back, everybody. This is going to be a really cool interview that we have coming up. We're going to make sure we're all sorted technically, and then we're going to get into some really awesome details here. So let's see what we got. For everybody coming back, make sure you drop some takeaways as well. In the video here in the comments for some things that you guys learned, some different actions you guys took. Again, we went over lots of awesome information. So we're about to welcome our guest here, Davis. It's going to be really cool to have him on. And really an honor, guys. So just get ready. We're going to work out some minor technical difficulties, make sure we're all set up. But as you guys start rolling back here, you guys start coming in, it's going to be a really awesome interview. We have some awesome special questions here. And here's the man, the myth, the lesson, Mr. Davis Booth. What's going on, man? This is our first time meeting, too. It's really cool.
Mike, it's a pleasure, man. Thank you for inviting me on.
1,000%. How's the day been for you?
It's been very busy. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
100%. I know you're an engineering supervisor. I can't wait to hear your story, but I know all you guys run around like crazy doing a lot of work. So, I have a lot of respect for it. It takes a lot, especially, kind of earning that. So it's great to have you here. You've been doing this a long time. I'm super excited to hear about your whole journey. I'm sure everybody else is too. So why don't we open up? Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So again, my name is Davis Booth, and I got into engineering kind of in a more unconventional way. I didn't go back to school to get my degree until I was 35. And so I came up through the tech ranks. I was an electronic technician in the Navy, and my first position outside of the service was as an electronic technician for a contract manufacturer. And so I did that for several years. Then, life kind of got in the way. I had a family, got married, had kids. And I did that for a while, and I got promoted into engineering without a degree. And I did that for a couple of years, but I was kind of pigeonholed into that one company because I didn't have the piece of paper saying that I was a degree. So I was kind of stuck there. And it wasn't until I went back to school, got my degree, that then more doors started to open up for me. And that's where I kind of pivoted from just general contract manufacturing and electronics into aerospace. So after that, it was all about momentum, right? I had my degree, more doors were opening. I got my first opportunity to work at NASA as a contractor on the Roman Space Telescope, which again, amazing experience. I did that for a couple of years, and when that project was wrapped up, again, some more momentum had built up, and I parlayed that into a position here at Cape Canaveral, working for United Launch Alliance. And before I know it, I was sitting console for a couple of different launches, for the Vulcan launches and a couple of Atlas launches. And then for whatever reasons, sitting console is very, very stressful. It takes a certain type of personality to sit in that seat. And needless to say, I wasn't cut out for that. That wasn't really, just wasn't my lane, honestly. So I ended up had a lot of momentum at that point, a lot more experience, and I parlayed to a position here at Extend Aerospace, where I saw an opportunity to get into engineering management. And I was going for at the time my master's degree at Johns Hopkins University for engineering management. So it just felt like a good opportunity, a good chance to try to switch it, hats going from. Again, I've worked on some amazing projects where I've just about all the coolest things you could think of as an engineer. It was kind of my time. I'm 47 years old. It was kind of my time to start giving back, right? So started getting into more of a management supervisory role. And then I would say here as of late, I've done a lot more mentorship online. So yeah, that's my story, man. That's where I'm at right now. I'm at Extant. I'm loving it. Lots of challenges, and I meet really, really cool people every day.
I love it. Yeah, I mean that's an incredible story. Especially like that's one of the biggest things I love kind of seeing is like some maybe unorthodox ways of getting started in engineering. So I would definitely respect that, right? Because obviously you're sharp, you have the edge, and you're really good at what you do, and you're able to stand out like in there, no matter what it was. Like you didn't let that like stop you. Obviously, a lot of people maybe put themselves in a box and like they would just not even try to do things, right? So like I
Oh
mean,
yeah, 100%.
so and then like you recently became engineering supervisor, right? Like is that
I
what?
did. I
That's
did.
I mean, that's an incredible accomplishment. Why don't you talk to us about that? And like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, sure. So I was at Extent, and again, I loved it. It was a great opportunity working here, but I started getting a lot of offers from other companies. I was just about to move to Arizona to work for a company called Moog. Some people pronounce it Moog. Moog. They're a huge outfit, and so yeah, I was prepared to move, and my family, we were all ready to go. And when I put in my notice with my current company and let them know that I was moving on to another opportunity, that's when they came back and said, we know you're doing mentorship on the side. We know the type of leader you could be. They offered me a new position that didn't even exist. They kind of created it for me, being in charge of all the test engineers. And right now I have 11 engineers that I'm responsible for. And so again, everything just kind of lined up. That's one thing I've figured out as I've gotten older. I tend not to force situations anymore. It seems like when you're prepared and you have momentum, that things just kind of fall into place. And again, I would have panicked or freaked out 10, 15 years ago, but as I've gotten older, I've kind of realized you just kind of have to let things work themselves out in due time.
I love it. Yeah, and I mean, like all that is just from you, being awesome, and then just preparing, and then things just float your way. So yeah, so I mean, I love that. That's really cool. I have some really
Yeah.
specific questions, and then like me for everybody watching, when you interview someone really cool or really awesome, you want to make sure you take your time and think of some questions. So I got some specific things for you. So from your experience working with interns and early career engineers, what actually separates the interns who receive return offers, okay, from the ones who don't? What have you seen?
Yeah, so definitely attention to detail. That I can't stress that enough. I mean, when you're an intern and you're working at a facility, you are constantly being evaluated, whether you know it or not. And so if you ask a question, I mean, how quickly do you, not just get the answer, but put the answer in practice? Are you the type of person that has to ask the same question twice? Are you the type of person that is taking notes, or do you just kind of have like a bias for action? You take that answer and you run with it, right? And so you're really, I mean, again, these answers are kind of hard because they're very generic. Every company has a ideal candidate that they're looking for. I mean, some companies are very structured and they want a calm and steady person to take that position. And other companies like myself, it's kind of chaotic. We're fast moving. You got to be able to switch tasks at a heartbeat. So we want somebody who really, really has a strong bias for action. So it's important that you can read the room, right? Know what you're getting into. And if you enjoy that kind of work and you want to be there after school, then kind of fit that vibe and make yourself useful. When you leave that internship, did you leave something of value on the table? That's how you know you're going to get. I mean, companies don't get rid of investment. If you put something in, that's an investment, right? And they're going to want you back. So that's the biggest thing I can say.
I love it. I love it. I mean, again, everybody watch, take some notes, apply some of this stuff. It's really cool. So thank you for your answer. That's really good. Now, the next thing is kind of like leveling up a little bit. So let's just say we're in the first 30 days of an internship. What behaviors immediately signal to you that an intern is going to be successful? Like just the first 30 days.
Yeah. So, what kind of projects are they starting to take on themselves? Are you the type of person that in your first 30 days, are you still kind of figuring things out? Or are you already asking for more on your plate, right? Most places, we're going to start you off with some basic tasks and see how you do. Or are you the type of person that just does those tasks and just kind of just sits there, and then has to wait for somebody to come give you something else to do, and then you do that and just kind of sit there? Or are you just constantly asking for more challenges, more responsibility? So yeah, you can tell right away. I mean, I can tell. You can tell right away if a person's going to be a good fit. At the same time, I've seen interns that have really shot themselves in the foot because they come into a position and that they kind of act like they already know everything. A little bit of entitlement, a little bit of ego. God, that is horrible in an internship, right? You don't want to see that. I mean, you're going to want somebody that has a lot to learn, and so therefore you want that mindset.
So, like something with that is like, so when interns are starting, like my question is like, how did we get to this point? Because I'd love for the norm to just be that everybody's exceptional, right? Like kind of doing just the like good things as you said. And then we have to think of something else to become even more exceptional, right? Like
Right.
how do you think we get to that point to maybe kind of normalize that level of excellence or that standard? I mean, just some food for thought.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think you have to be a good communicator. You have to be kind of, and in the end, ultimately, this is a people business, right? You're dealing with another human being. And so I think it's very, very important that you communicate what you know, what you don't know. You need to be able to come off as somebody who's eager to learn, um, and be humble. Again, these are all very, very much soft skills that I'm talking about here, but it's very, very important that you are somebody that I want to hire, I would want to work with. I'm not going to work with somebody that I can't get along with or that I can't trust to do a task. Or one of the most refreshing things, I'll be honest with you, one of the most refreshing things that intern can tell me is that they don't know. I ask you a question, can you do this? I don't know. I've never done that before. That's refreshing. What I don't want to hear is somebody who tries to give me an answer and it's just very surface level and they act like they know everything. Because an experienced engineer, we're going to ask you some detailed questions. And if you can't go deep, then we know you're BS and it's right. So just be honest and admit where you are. You are a new engineer. You are a new intern. I do not expect you to know about any of the tools that I'm using or any of our processes. It's very, how can I say it? Be humble and be willing to say, I don't know.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's super critical. And especially with communication, that's actually my next question. What does strong communication look like for, new interns or interns? Like, what does that look like on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis? Like, what does a strong communication system look like?
Oh, sure. So if I come in the morning, I'm gonna want somebody that feels like they can come up to me, ask me, "Hey, how was your night? How things are going? Check in with me." We'll come up with a plan. If you have questions, I would expect to see you within another hour or two at lunch. Again, we're starting a relationship here. Come see me at lunch. I want to know what's going on. What you eating for lunch, man? Let's start having not just a business 9 to 5 relationship. I want to know more about you. I want you to know more about me. I mean, we need to have a little bit of investment in this relationship, right? And so that takes asking these again. I mean, not personal questions, but not necessarily technical questions either, right? Again, this is a people skill, right? Get to know me. I want to get to know you. It's going to make the job a lot better. You're going to be more apt to come up to me when you have questions, when you know that I know your backstory. I know a little bit about you. I've told you a little bit about me. Uh, you want to be a type of person that's very approachable and outgoing for sure.
Awesome. I love that. And like that's important, like for the interns and then also just any relationship, right? What
Yeah.
what's been some big maybe like relationship things that you've done or like some strong things that you like implement to build relationships with people or business partners or other engineers or other people? Like what are some other things that you've done?
Oh, one of the big things I like to do, and especially I'm doing right now with my team, is we go to lunch. It's something as simple as that. Like when we go to lunch, we do not talk about work. And before I took over this team, you had pretty much 11 engineers kind of doing their own thing that they didn't really hang out together. It was like they had issues that needed resolved, and they had a lot of the same complaints, but they were kind of siloed, right? And a lot of them, to be honest, they have told me they were pretty miserable in their job. But when you start going to lunch and you get a little bit of fellowship going on, you can relate to other people's problems. It makes it a lot more enjoyable, man. And again, if I know you're struggling and we can talk about this outside of work, it's going to make your job easier. It's going to make my job easier. So, again, building a team is all about communication. And another thing that I've kind of told these guys is, you need to be looking at junior engineers. You need, from day one, when you build a team, you need to find somebody that you feel like could take your shoes. And you need to start treating them like they are eventually going to be in your position, right? Because all of us, the idea is we're going to climb the ladder, right? And so you need somebody to be prepared to step in your shoes. And one thing I hate to hear from engineers is somebody to say, well, that's not really my job. My job is just to do this right here. That's a horrible mindset, man.
Yeah.
You always need to be thinking about, like every one of those 11 guys need to be thinking about what I'm doing and how I do my job. How can they do my job better than what I can? Eventually, somebody's going to be sitting in that seat.
Yep.
And so I preach that from the get-go, right? I am cultivating 11 guys to take my spot at any given moment.
I love that. Yeah. Like, unfortunately, I've heard that a lot too from a lot of people. That's not my job. That's not my responsibility. Like, I've heard that my whole life in, various positions, internships, engineering, not engineering. It's strange, but it's also like, it's very, very critical. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's, that's really important for everybody watching to think about, right? Like, is that the first thing that you think of when you go to work? Is it not your job, or is this your career that you're looking to build and grow? So thank you for that, Davis. I love that.
Yeah.
The next thing for you is, in terms of an intern building credibility, maybe like rapport, trying to get a return offer, or just make a name for themselves in their company, right? What are some mistakes that you see them make that hurt that credibility?
Yeah, sure. So again, it goes back to ego. And, sometimes if you don't understand a process, right? And I give you a task to do, and next thing I know, you're off over here, you're digging into something that's not necessarily what I gave you to do, and you haven't asked the right questions, and you're starting to try to change things. Or the worst thing you can do as an intern is start, talking bad about the processes that already exist in this company. That's horrible. You can't do that, man. It takes a guy who's been in that, or a girl who's been in that position for a couple of years to even understand why some of those processes are the way they are. You can't come in as an intern and think you're going to change the culture of an organization when you don't even really understand the culture or why they are the way they are. So be mindful when you first start a position like that, what you say about why things are done and how things are done.
I love that. That's really important. And, that's not something that I think is talked about quite a bit. I definitely see some people come in and do some things that you've mentioned in a lot of different areas. So if you kind of go in with that mindset, that's a little bit different. So that's unique. I like that. My next thing for you is initiative, right? Initiative is super critical, but maybe there's a line to draw. Maybe there's not a line to draw. Like, what does healthy initiative look like for somebody when they're starting out intern? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So healthy initiative would be going up to whoever it is that's mentoring you at the time and consistently ask, what can they do to help the situation? What can I do to help you out? What is it you need help with? What is it, something you feel comfortable giving me to take off your plate, right? That's helpful initiative. So you're doing your task you're assigned and you're coming back asking for more. That's what you want. Again, kind of back to the story I just said, you don't want to start going in the weeds on something that you think needs to be done or needs to be fixed and you haven't asked the correct questions. That's bad initiative, right? In your mind, you might think you're fixing something, but if you don't know all the pieces and you're not 100% aligned with the task at hand, you're going to get in problems.
Love it. I love it. Thank you for that. Since something else with interns and, taking on initiative that I've seen is maybe not a lot of them take on enough, or they're too scared to ask. Have you seen that?
Oh, yes, 100%. And again, you're really hurting yourself, right? Because you're being judged for that bias for action. Everybody, you want an employee that has a bias for action. And so if you don't have that type of relationship with me, you might be timid. You might be the smartest guy, you might or girl, you might be dedicated and everything else. But if you don't feel like you can approach the right person and ask for more, you're really hurting yourself, you know? And that's how you're gonna get people to recognize the good work that you're doing is if you do more work.
Yeah. Yeah, like you, so another question for you is what's been your maybe favorite or maybe have you seen best performing intern that you've seen? And then what's been an example of maybe a less performing or not as exceptional intern that you've seen? Two examples.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So the best performing interns that I've seen, we currently work with them. Those are the people that have the offers, and those are your junior engineers. And again, those are people that are craving mentorship. They're eager for it. We call it what it is. It's coaching, it's mentorship, right? It's even if you're not in my group, let's say, for instance, I'm in charge of all the test engineers where I work at. There's several young manufacturing engineers where I work at that have a good enough relationship with me. They'll come ask me about their job just so they know I've been in the business for such a long time. I've kind of seen it all. And, they respect my opinion. So that is huge, right? When you have senior people you can go to that you have built that kind of relationship that you can pick their brain. All right. At the same time, the worst ones are, again, the ones that kind of badmouth the processes, badmouth the people. They come in with a little bit of ego. They act like they know better ways of doing things without necessarily getting their. Listen, process improvement, continuous process improvement is really big in engineering, but there's a right way to do that and a wrong way to do that. And you don't do that coming into a brand new organization that you really haven't done your homework and understand why things are the way they are. So again, it's all about communication. It's all about building relationships, staying on task, and again, making sure that you are being seen by senior engineers as somebody that can get job done and who's willing to learn and who's humble and who will take that kind of mentorship.
Awesome. Have you ever seen like not a bad intern, but have you ever seen someone like from like a sour situation turn into like a really positive situation?
No, I have not in my case. And even in the position where I am now, you have to do some discipline and you have to write things up. And unfortunately, when things start to go south, it is very hard to use corrective actions or coaching to fix that. And I
Yeah.
wish that wasn't the case, but a lot of times that's a good sign that it's just not going to work out. And I'm not going to say that it can't ever happen. It's just in my experience, it's been far and few between.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I'm just curious about that for sure. Cause I've definitely seen the same kind of thing with you where, like if there's something sour, it's probably a sign. So yeah, I love that.
And just so you know, for all your viewers out there, companies have a motto that they like to say: they hire slow and fire fast. So they're going to take their time trying to get the best candidate, the best pick. But at the same time, if you're not going to work, they're going to quickly try to get cut that as soon as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. 1000%. I've seen it done. I've seen it. My next thing for you is, for interns, now we're looking at like maybe return offers and how that looks, right? At what point does a return offer start forming or start getting generated? Is that like at the end of the internship? Where should people start picking up signals maybe?
Oh, the first couple of weeks, man. First couple of weeks, you start seeing a smile on your supervisor's face, or again, those conversations start getting a little deeper at lunch, a little more friendlier in the mornings, in the afternoons, to check in with you. You can tell quickly whether or not you're doing a good job or a bad job. And if you want that offer, not only are you getting that smile, and you're building that network, but you should see something tangible that you're doing, that they're giving you something that is going to be valued to that company. Because internships aren't just about, hey, go get me coffee, right? They're going to give you something that they don't have time to do, usually a project on the side that they need. And so if you can do that, see it through to completion, and again, at the same time, you built those relationships, you're going to be in a really good spot to get an offer.
I love it. 1000%. Yeah, no, and like I've seen that done too, where sometimes interns don't want to do something because they just don't feel like doing it. Or the other side of it is that they kind of think about that in like the same way that you did, where it's like, okay, like this is obviously something that's like super helpful, super beneficial, and they just don't have time to do it. I love that. That's a really good point. To kind of finish out here, I want to see if there's anything else you want to share. One other big piece of advice: definitely share where everybody can find you. I definitely want everybody to get connected with you. So just anything closing, anything else you want to share with everybody?
Yeah, I think I want to encourage everybody to realize that when it comes to getting an internship or getting your first offer, there's a lot of randomness to this. Okay. Ultimately, companies are looking at you, and because you don't have experience, this is less about a skill fit and it's going to be more about a behavioral fit. I mean, you all have, and for again, I deal with engineers, so you all have engineering degrees. Some of you might have had a couple of internships that are related, maybe not. Some of you might have used a couple tools that maybe my company uses, maybe not. But for the most part, you're all kind of level. And so the randomness occurs because you don't know what that hiring manager is looking for at that time. They might have just filled two positions before the one they're filling now with really senior guys. And so they can take a chance now on a young guy that they can spend some time with. At the same time, they might have a business unit that's screaming down their neck for a particular type of skill set, maybe an RF guy or a digital guy, and you don't know if you ever fit that mold, right? So there's a lot of randomness to it. It's not necessarily you. You have to be the type of person that realizes that, right? When you go into these things and you get rejected, you got to think of it as an opportunity, right? You met some people. You learn a little bit about a company. You never know next time around if you're going to have another chance at this. These are relationships you don't want to burn. These are opportunities, every one of them. More people you can meet, the bigger network you can build, the better off you're going to be. And then the last thing I would say is this. It's very, very important that you put yourself out there. In the beginning, nobody knows who you are. You have no name whatsoever. You have zero momentum. And so social media is a great place that you can really put yourself out there, whether you're posting about your projects, points of view from a college student, topics that you're having issues with, you're struggling with, collaborating with other people, but it's content, and put it out there and do it consistently and build your LinkedIn network. If you do that, what starts off as maybe a simple project turns into now a chance to volunteer on somebody else's project, chance to maybe do an internship that's not paid at another place, which then turns into maybe a paid internship, a chance to get a new job. Nobody just works at NASA. Nobody gets a job just launching rockets. It's momentum, and it builds up over time. And so you have to stack these wins. But if you don't even start, if you're scared to even put yourself out there, man, you're not going to get anywhere. So you just got to get started and keep your head up and just realize there's a lot of randomness to it. And yeah, man, you'll be surprised at what you get. I can't stress this enough that there are literally tons of jobs out there going on in the field. There are people struggling to find the right fit, and you might be the right fit. And so you have to put yourself out there and give yourself a chance.
Thank you so much for that, Davis. That was incredible. I couldn't have said that better myself at all. That's definitely some great advice for everybody watching. Take action on that. Rewatch that. Re-listen to that. Davis, where can they find you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. That's where I try to post usually something daily on there, and I recommend you check that out. I do offer some services, whether it's resume reviews or LinkedIn reviews, or if you just want to sit down with a 15-minute chat. I'm pretty booked up. I usually stay booked up about a month out, but if it's something I can do, again, sometimes a quick 15-minute session can get you realigned. Whether it's just using my own network of people that I know, or maybe sometimes people just need a little bit of a boost. At the same time, some people just need a little kick in the butt too to kind of get going. So again, I'm there. I have resources available in the feature section of my LinkedIn profile. So if you need me, I'm available.
Awesome. Davis, thank you so much. And then for everybody watching, we're going to go hop in the Q&A in the community here. So feel free to join us for a little bit.